Hi, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and welcome. We are about to do a whole lot of talking about the pseudoscience, if you like, of graphology. That is the reading of people's handwriting or the way in which they form their words. Now, I just want to make sure at the front end that you all know that this is not my area of expertise necessarily, but I've always been interested in it, and it has amazed me how much I found out about people just by looking at their writing. And so a lot of this from my side, when I do it, is I do it instinctively, and I'm going to get you guys to do it instinctively as well and see if you can get to the same sort of feeling where you can look at a signature and almost immediately get an idea of what that person may be like. So if you wish to participate today, hi Jody, if you wish to participate, I really recommend that you have a piece of paper and a pencil or a pen nearby, because I will be asking questions about your writing. And as I can't see it necessarily, I'm hoping that you will describe where these certain things fit. All right, you're going to be organizing at the same time, Charlotte, no problem at all. So quite a lot of this today will be visual, but I'm certain that you'll cast a glance every now and then when you see a fit. By the way, Charlotte, I don't know if you noticed, but I did do a couple of, the first couple of broadcasts around the topic that you had discussed. And I just want to thank you very much on behalf of everybody. They found it very useful to do that work. All right, so we're talking graphology today, the way in which we write. And the first thing that I want to do is just make sure, by the way, Jody, just so that you can take it off your list, the new pens came in. So hopefully we will get pens that work this week. But the first thing that I want to do is to actually I'm just going to write some stuff on my whiteboard here. Now, I've just written some stuff because I just really like you to write some as well. And all I wrote was, and the only time that he touches the ground. It's funny enough, it's a line from a Marianne Faithfull song from way back when. And I think it continues, is when that little bird dies. Anyway, so what I want you to see is a number of things. And the easiest way for me to show you was to do my own writing, and that way I can make it easier. We're going to be talking about how much is above the line. Do you understand? And then how much of what happens when you go below the line. Can you see that? This is about what happens above the line, what happens below the line. And that would leave what happens in the center. We're also going to be talking about the way in which we link words together and stuff like that. So this is called the upper zone. And the upper zone has to do with imagination, your philosophy, your idealism, your religion, so forth. And what you will see in my writing is, right, that I definitely, obviously do go up, but it's not extreme in any way. Can you see that? Now you might want to just have a look at yours. The other thing I'd like you to look at is this. This is a signature, and you will notice I have a particularly large beginning S there and A here in my signature. Can you see that? But it's still pretty much in proportion to the rest of the letters, right? It's not. Do you see the difference here where the capital is really high? In my case, it's all pretty much one and the same. Now then, all this is important. But the first thing I want you to do is to see, if you saw this writing, what would be your instant sort of feel about it? And what I want you to do is to trust your gut a little bit. And I'm going to be showing you different signatures so you can work on this. Charlotte's asking, does the way you were taught to write between the lines in cursive make a difference? Yes, it says a little bit about your education, but quite honestly, as you become adult, you develop your own handwriting. Very few of us. I didn't write like this when I was at school. I can tell you that right now. So is there anything that you can see in terms of my writing? Is it open, closed? Do you find it balanced? Do you find it peaceful? What is your sense? And I want you to trust your gut on this, because it is important to see how the writing that people have, the writing that they do, shows you a lot. I can remember one of my great memories was sitting at a table once with a lot of people, and they had all written their name on a tent card. That's one of those cards that you can write on. And it was amazing. All right, so Jody's saying artistic. Where do you see artistic in there, Jody? I just want to make sure that everybody understands where you're coming from. Now, I also want you to see things like, how do I cross my T's? And all right, so Charlotte says it's unbalanced. All right, where do you see it unbalanced? Just so that I can understand. And try writing on a whiteboard. But anyway, it's interesting that you find it unbalanced. So just let me know in what way, Charlotte, just so I can understand. Oh, the T is curved. This T here, or this T here. We've got different T's. So this one is curved. Yeah, now Jody's saying it just looks nice and flowy and it's not tight. Does that make sense? It makes a lot of sense, Jody. And it also is important, as I will show you. That is very interesting. Can you see here, Charlotte, that the only time I do that sort of a T is when I've got an I following it? Can you see all the other T's are just a straight stroke? When I have an I, can you see it's sort of like a TI is all one flow for me? I didn't know I did that. Now that actually is very important. How many of you can see that's a time management thing? And the other thing I want you to look at when you look at these other signatures as well, is my I dot? First of all, do I dot the I's? And if so, is it directly above the I downstroke? Okay, so that's interesting. The I is here, but can you see that my dot is slightly forward of that? Got it? So all these things are important, as you're going to see. The next thing is, can you see how I join some letters together, but not others? For example, my U, can you see that my U does not connect to the C? Oh yeah, you're going to love this, Jody. It's really quite amazing what you're going to see. And I've got all sorts of signatures that and writing that I sussed out for you guys. It took me a bit of doing, but I did it. So can you see that some of my letters I join up and some I don't? That is important. It is about my connection to other people. All right. So you will see that most of the time I connect with people, but every now and then I don't. The other thing that's important is, do I complete the O's and the A's? Hang on a second. Let's get those. I actually didn't analyze my own writing until now when I'm writing it. So can you see that I completed the A here? I completed the O here. I didn't complete the A here. I did the O here. I sort of there did the O. Can you see what I'm saying? That some are complete and some aren't. All important. All right, now then, have you got the general idea? Now, what I want to show you is, I'm going to take the top half off for a second. And I'm going to show you that if I have to officially write my name, oh, sorry, that's not how I say my name. Okay, so do you see that my Y is very unusual? This is, right? This is not a normal Y. So what does that tell you about me? Anything? What is your sense? Yeah, it looks like the bottom of a small Z or Z. It's really interesting that I do that. From what I know, yes, Jody, you're right. You're right. It's a creative anomaly. It's part of me that you need to know about me is I am creative. I don't always follow all the rules, which you already knew. So there's nothing new about that. Now, can you see that when I write my name as Sally, my name is much straighter than when I write Sal? Can you see the direction of Sal Abbott? And can you see the direction of Sally Abbott? Do you see the difference? And I didn't do it intentionally, by the way. I've just noticed it myself. So you understand that when I decided to shorten my name to Sal, that was much more in keeping with my personality, in my view. All right. Am I boring you so far? So now what I want you to do is to make sure that you write your own, because it's all important. Now I've got some notes here that I want to be able to read from. So let's see. All right, who's done their own signature? All right, so first of all, I'm going to do Katy Perry. This is what her signature looks like. What is your feeling when you see that signature? When you look at it, if you didn't know who Katy Perry was, what would be your instant reaction? Because I want to show you how your instant reaction is probably way smarter than you think. Does this look like a serious person to you? When I say serious, do you think this is does this look like the signature of somebody who is an intellectual? Right, so Jody's saying organized and creative. Yes. So quite honestly, with all that going on, how many of you get the feeling that that's quite a fun signature? This is not a boring person. This also, notice the very large capital letters. Got that? Here, the K and the P, much bigger than the rest of the writing. The T is cute, yes. The balloon in the T, by the way, that's something I forgot to here, put that in. Okay. The way I do my T's, I do one that isn't and one that is ballooned. Can you see that? Two different parts of my personality. I didn't realize it until just now. Okay, because the balloon part means that you're susceptible to flattery, which would be true of her, and also that they're sensitive. Right? So if you've got that balloon shape in the T, that's what all that is about. How much does she have below the line? If you take the proportion above the line and below the line, can you see she's got an awful lot going on below the line, although she only had a couple of letters with which to do it. Okay, so there's, for me, if I were looking at that, I'd probably think that she has a lot going on. There's a lot below. Yes, exactly, Jody. There's more to her than meets the eye. But basically, this is a fun signature. This is not a serious person signature, right? And by the way, this might have something to do with her past, just so that you know that. Okay. Is this a solid or a weak signature? That's the other thing I want you to be aware of. Do you find this a solid, down-to-earth signature, or is this a weak one? Because the way in which people actually put pressure on the paper is important. All right, so this is a pretty solid, upfront sort of person. You know, what you see is what you get, boom, you know. However, there's more to her than meets the eye. And I would think a lot of fun stuff. And maybe some, to me, if I were reading this, I'd also suggest that maybe some depression issues have been now or later. All right, so get the idea. All right, now I'm going to give you another one. So what do you see from the signature at the bottom here? Do you see the difference in size between the look at the huge capital S here? All right. Now, I also want you to see the size of the signature versus the size of her normal writing. Can you see there is an absolute difference about that? So this is somebody who, when they are in their own space, actually probably quite quiet. And do you see that it's pretty open and, yeah, it's related to ego. But do you see how it's pretty open and it's pretty close together? Pretty confined in her own space. But when this person is performing, she comes out gangbusters. Can you see that? As opposed to what you saw with mine, my regular writing and my signature are very much in the same sort of realm. But this is, I wanted you to see the absolute difference of this. This is Selena Gomez, by the way. And again, right, how much is above the line? Quite a bit. And how much is below the line? Quite a bit. Now, what I want you to look at is, do you see that even though she wrote this at an angle on the piece of paper, that the writing itself is going up anyway? All right. So if I put it so that it is square, the writing is still going uphill. Can you see that? That's somebody who's moving forward with their life and moving on. Now, did any of you notice that each time I sign my signature, I put a dot at the end of it? That's significant. And what would it tell you if I did it this way, which, by the way, I used to? This is like, Abbott, that's it. I mean, that's it. Yeah, Jody, it doesn't surprise me that you do the dots as well, because it's a case of, yeah, and now I've said what I have to say. And, when we've said what we have to say, we move on. That's it. No, not necessarily open to discussion, made a decision, onward. All right, now then. I want you to see this person's writing. And what do you see in the writing? If you just saw this for the first time, which presumably a lot of you will be seeing it for the first time, what is your sense of this writing? All right, do you find that that is what I call, and fairly adult writing? Do you find it fairly juvenile writing? What is your sense of it? Do you find it balanced? Do you find it out of balance? I find it interesting for this person that the capital I's are very straight. All right. In fact, the whole writing is very straight. All right. It's not at an upward slant or anything. It's just very straight writing. And do you notice how it's quite close together? But if you look carefully, how much do the letters connect with one another? Actually, Jody, this person probably does to some degree. Jody is saying a person that guards their privacy. I'm going to show you somebody who really guards their privacy in a second, so you can see the difference. So what I want you to see here is that the letters don't actually link together. And that is, can you see that? They're just like each one is almost an individual letter. And that means that the person doesn't connect well with people. Okay, just so that you know. But, would you say male, female, just by looking at it? Child, adult, what is your sense? All right. A female child. Okay, interesting. All right, now then, I'm going to put the signature on it because I wanted you to see that first. Now then, what's the first thing you see? This was all on the same piece of paper. I'm just putting them together now. What do you notice about the size of the signature versus the size of the other writing? And can you see how dramatically different it is? Can you see this is completely uphill? And can you see this very ornate thing here? So, do you still think it's a female child? So just make your own guess. So, do you understand? So the interesting thing is this is another person who, when they're in their natural state, is actually quite reserved in some ways. All right, and doesn't connect well, probably doesn't talk to a lot of people or whatever. That would make sense. But again, when they're on show, they're huge by comparison. And can you see that? Jody said it looks like their pen's running out and they're checking it. Yeah. So that's Justin Bieber. I thought this one was interesting. By the way, the size of the signature is how he likes to be perceived, all right? So he likes to be perceived as a big person. Quite honestly, it shouts of an arrogance because we know this is the size of his normal writing. An overconfident personality, which actually would make a lot of sense in his case. Now then, I got another one to show you, and I thought this one would tell us a lot as well. All right, so let's do this one. I've only got a small sample, so what about this? What do you notice about this signature? And what would you say about this person? First of all, aesthetically, do you find it pleasing to look at, or does it look balanced to you? Does it look like... I just want to make sure that... Okay. So any comments? What do you see in the signature? Not in the signature, but in the writing. If you received this letter from somebody you didn't know. Right. Jody's saying a balanced and beautiful writing. So do you think that the person who wrote it maybe is balanced and beautiful as well? And just so you know, that is the writing of Kate Middleton. Do you notice that, they're very well put together? Yes, and it is, isn't it? The writing is very well put together. All right, the right slanting, you see how it slants this way? All the things are going in that direction. All right, that indicates genuine warmth and approachability. You notice the capital I's are not ornate. They're very straight. They're just, the same as mine, right? Just one stroke. Less is more. And that has to do with self-image, unadorned self-image, all right? They're quite happy with themselves as they are. However, she's got quite a lot of angles to her writing, and that does reflect some sort of rigidity. And therefore, I don't think she would be a pushover in any way. The thing to look at is how many of you can see that she does something that I certainly can't. Can you see how straight? Let's try and get my ruler there. Can you see how straight that margin is? And that is significant as well. I don't know about you guys, but I drift across the page as I write. I have to remind myself to come back to the beginning here. And that, as Jody said, this shows a well-organized person who takes the time to be in the right place at the right time. Make sense? Am I boring you yet? Now then, how about this guy? What do you see here? An extremely large capital letter in proportion to the others. Really not a legible name, and then underlines the name. That's Prince Harry's. You're quite right, Valda. Yes. Now, how many of you notice he's also got the line afterwards? Like, right, that's who I am. He didn't put the full stop. Oh, yes, he did. There it is, right at the very end. Can you see it? So this is like, this is who I am. By the way, this ineligibility, unable to read this bit here, normally shows fairly high intellect. But somebody who obviously is in a hurry to get places. But the funny thing is he quite often has to go back on himself, which is true of him. Yeah, okay. Now then, this is going to blow your mind, I think. How about this writing? Yes, that's interesting. You should say that. Yes, and Obama's signature is very similar to the as well, if you've seen his. So, what about this writing? Is it normal? Beautiful and ornate. See, that's the first thing you say about it. This writing is beautiful and ornate. Okay. Does this person... All right. Oh, that's gorgeous. Yes, it is, isn't it? Do you see, you remember what we said? Look at the amount that's underneath the line. Those are really large bits below the line. And also look at how ornate they are above the line. All right? They're less ornate below the line than they are above the line. Am I making sense? The top levels are much more, this huge lead-in stroke. Any guesses? Would you want to sit and have a meal with this person? How would you expect them to dress? And guess who it is? It's Meghan Merkel. Yeah, you'd expect them to dress to the nines, plus, they've got this embellishment. Isn't that interesting? So look at the difference in the signatures between Harry's and Meghan's. Do you see how they both have huge capital letters, both got big egos? But who is the more open of the two? And, all right, this is what I want you to really concentrate on. Can you see how all those letters connect? She connects every letter to the next one. Yeah, that's interesting. Valdo says, she was meant to be royalty. Do you see how far right that it leans? All right. It actually indicates that she's very warm and approachable, which we know. Those graceful strokes flaring up and back disclose elegance and charm. How many of you can see that the writing has elegance and charm, right? You've already said that. All right, how about this? Look at where her eye dot is. Can you see there? This eye on it? I'm reading backwards here. Her eyes are almost exactly in the right place as well. That's an attention to detail. And also an honest character, right? Now then, remember what I said about the O's and the A's. Can you see how she closes her O's and her A's? Takes the time to do that. Now, do you find that that writing is solid or weak? You know, when you look at it, do you go, there was quite a bit of pressure on the paper to write like that? Yes. So again, not a pushover. Maybe warmth, maybe creative, maybe elegant, maybe everything, but no pushover. Make sense? And again, how is the size of her signature in relation to the rest of her writing? Would you say it's slightly bigger, way bigger? What do you feel? You see, it's almost double the size when she's on show, which is her signature. This is her normal life, and this is her outer life, if you like. Yeah. So be aware of that. Now then. What about this one? By the way, this is actually, don't try and read it because it's out of focus. And also it is not in English. But when you look at this writing, what is your sense? Does it look simple? Uncluttered? Or does it look highly ornate? Does it look organized? And how many of you noticed? Valdo saying, I sense a person who is very intellectual. You are correct. Yes, Jody says a closed personality. Yeah, definitely not somebody who's, that's good, Jody. Based on what? You guys are doing really well with this. When you look at this writing, simplicity is one of the keys. Do you understand? This is pretty simple writing. It has flow, but it's very small. Somebody who doesn't waste a lot of paper. Can you see that? So automatically, Valdo's correct. The closeness of the letters, yes, that's also important, right? The middle zone, all right, that's the zone, not the highs and the lows, but the middle zone. Can you see that it's almost totally symmetrical? I don't know about you, but I would find that a bit scary. That person can be in that much control. Yeah. Are you enjoying this? All right, how about the left-hand margin? How about this? Very organized, good. Look at this, amazing attention to detail. Can you see that? Now then, can I, yeah, it's very straight, unbelievably straight. Where's my ruler? Let me try and put it up against there for you. I mean, you've got to look at this and go, who does a margin that straight? Somebody who has great attention to detail. Makes sense? Now, the interesting thing, can you see, OCD straight, that's interesting. What do you notice about the eyes? Can you see any eyes? I think there's one here, and one here, and here. Can you see that the dot of the eye is bigger than you would expect? I'm looking from underneath here. And that's an interesting thing. That's a little bit of fun in there, if you like. Creativity. But would you say this person is cautious by nature or fly by the seat of their pants by nature? Compare it to this. Now then, yeah, cautious, right? You can see that. Now then, can you see the T's? The T's are very unusual. Where's their T? I'm doing this back to front here. There's a T there. Look at that T. Do you see it's a very unusual way of doing stuff, right? So it sort of doesn't make sense that somebody with all this control, all this OCD-ness and everything else does this way up T. And so this is Einstein. Good job, people. I'm very proud of you. You see how quickly you learn? Mind you, you've got a brilliant teacher. Now, all right, deep breath. We're going to do another one. This is a page of somebody's writing. What is your sense? So just give me your feedback. Just when you look at it, what's the first thing that strikes you? All over the place. Yes, it is. All right. It's like one person was writing here and another person was writing here and then a totally different person was writing at the bottom. Unstable emotionally, maybe. Okay, very interesting. But do you see that the writing almost bounces? This person might be a serial killer. But But can you see that the writing almost bounces in places? Like there's a lot of energy to it. It's like, I don't want to keep to the lines. Here I kept to the lines, but here I don't want to, and here I don't want to. This is not somebody that is used to playing by the rules. All right, they play by their own rules depending on how they're feeling. Can you see that? Frantic, interesting, frantic. All right. Do you find the writing childlike or adult-like? Or a mixture of both? By the way, if ever you see this going on, almost split personality type writing, the chances are they've been through some sort of cruelty or abuse. Just so you know. As opposed to, you see, the thing is, you don't realize how it is until you compare it with somebody. An adult with childlike tendencies, that's interesting. Okay. But look at the different signature writing and then look at that. It's totally different, right? So you're doing a great job, people. So what about, hang on a second, I've got to get my finger out. What do you think about this huge drop in the Y here? Can you see this huge drop in the word you? If that's what I would look for. And by the way, sometimes the U is quite, the Y is quite straight, and then sometimes it is very deep by comparison. Okay, it's like out of proportion. So, want to make a guess as to who this might be? Yes, some low self-esteem stuff going in there. An unsteady, unpredictable personality with heavy mood swings, by the way. Want to have a guess? Michael Jackson. How many you going, wow, that makes sense. Look at the things you said. Look at the things you said. An adult with childlike tendencies, a low self-esteem sometimes, right? Frantic. Well done. Doing a great job. All right, now seeing as Valdo mentioned it, this is Donald Trump's. Sorry for the lines that my printer made on this one. But what do you see here? First of all, do you see how bold it is? I mean, somebody was saying on the news yesterday, we're likely to get another executive order written with a Sharpie pen. Very bold, all right? And what about this up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down stuff? Can you see that he doesn't want people to know who he is, all right? But how many of you can see an anger in that? It's like, you know, it's that's difficult to write like that. It looks like an EKG. Yes. Now then, here is the interesting thing in my view. This is his wife's. Do you see that they have a lot in common? But can you see that hers also does this? Look at this. It's almost the same. However, a lot of hers is below the line here. Yeah, I think it's amazing how similar they are in lots of ways. A prettier EKG. Yes, it's still an EKG. Yeah. Okay. And this is a signature you may or may not recognize. By the way, this is not written this way. This is how this person wrote their last name. What is your first sense of this? Artistic, good. Does it look peaceful, or does it look, you know, what adjective would you look to? It's more like symbols than letters. Yes, good point. What about this solid piece here going straight down? And then all this, you know, not many people do this. All right, does this look peaceful? Does this look peaceful, or does it look angry? You see what I'm showing you? The difference. By the way, this is the only signature of all the ones that I've shown you that does this. It looks stressed. What about this? How many of you can see this is very solid? Very solid indeed. And unlike Trump's, this is going downhill. Although Trump's is frenetic, but it's up and down in all going in the same direction. Look at this one going downhill, and look at this downhill, and again the slash. Yes, it's like screaming, that solid line, right? It's like it's not just angry. It is. Can you see that it's screaming at you? Do you know whose signature it is, by the way? Anybody? Want to guess? Yeah, hear me. And by the way, what have you done? It's Hitler's signature. So I'm just going to run them by you again so you can see how far you've come. Selena Gomez. Do you feel the daintiness of it, the creativity of it, yet the smallness here, yet the big ego when they go out. You guys did well. I'm very impressed. All right. Compare that with this. You know, it's just like, wow. Compare this, very balanced, with this. Oh, sorry, it's this way. But well done on the creativity, all right? Because we know that he was very, very creative. And by the way, does this person want to be known? No. This person would like to be known, but this person didn't want to be known either, but you see the difference. This is, you don't get to know me at all. You don't even get to see what my name is. That's how much I protect myself. But mess with me. Okay, well done, people. I'm very, very proud of you. Now, I just did this to introduce you to it. Any feedback, anything that you would like to discuss? And I'm going to go, did you find it of value? Will you never look at anybody's writing the same way again? The main thing is I would suggest you trust your gut, because I found that even though I might not have studied it deeply, my first thing is, what does the signature tell me? Is it very light and weak, or is it solid? And with exclamation mark type heaviness in it. Or is it solid but not offensive? You see, if you just go for those things, you get, and literally I could go around a table, if I were sitting at a head table and everybody had a tent card, or sitting at a round table, I could literally go around and go, oh, you're very creative. Yeah, a little bit prone to depression, I would think. People go, how do you know that? How do you know that? And I go, the interesting thing is, though, that when you go into depression, you come out pretty quickly, as opposed to somebody that takes a long time to come out. And it's really interesting. Well, so Jodi's saying, I'd like to say thank you for educating us on this fascinating topic. It really is a fascinating topic. Thank you for the effort you put in to create the presentation. Well, the thing is, I wanted you to look at your own writing. So now that you've seen all of that, what is it about your writing that I could tell about you if you applied to me for a job? How many of you have noticed that an awful lot of people these days say you can send the resume, but give us a copy of a handwritten letter? Do you understand why they want the handwritten letter? They want to know, are you picky, picky, picky? Do you go with the flow and probably waste some time on creativity? Is it your way or the highway? Do you take no prisoners, right? You had to change your signature, Holly. Okay, so this is the whole thing that I want you to understand. There's a reason why they want you to do that handwritten thing. And they might not even know why. Yes, they want to see your handwriting to get an idea of whether you are, so which one of the, this is what I have to say is, would you want this person on your team? And why? And would you want this person on your team? Sorry to hear you're not well, Kimmy. Do you understand? I actually would want this person on my team because I think that when you're brainstorming, this person would come up with some really good ideas. All right, as would, where's the one we started with? Hang on a second. Trying to find the one we started with. We know it's here somewhere. Yeah. Where are we? Okay, so you understand, if you wanted a creative people, you know how I'd pick, right? However, my question is, you probably think that this is creative until you see it matched with this. All right, so this person is likely to be, Kimmy, why do you need us to pray for you, honey? Just so I understand. And Jody, please make a note so I can put up thoughts and prayers, please. So do you understand, this one I think could be a little, I want to say almost bipolar, you know, on a team. It's really quite childlike, but big ego, which sort of makes sense, right? Needs to grow up a bit. Do you want this person on your team? This person would only lead the team. You do know that, right? They believe in teamwork as long as they're leading it and doing everything. This person would come up with some really interesting, you know, they'd be really good at finding you know, creative ways to around things, I think. They would be a balancer of things, but every now and then they'd have this flash of genius. Can you see that? That's how I would read it. This one would never come on the team. They're too OCD, right? They definitely wouldn't come there. By the way, would you want him on a team? From what you've learned? Can you see some insecurity here going back on himself, but then underlines what he says, right? So this is like, I don't wish to show myself to the world. And I second guess myself, but I have pretty strong views. I'm sorry to hear, is this from your allergies, Kimmy, or something else? Would you want him on the team? Would you want her on your team? Yeah, I've been struggling a lot with allergies this year as well, Kimmy, so you have my full sympathy. Yeah, I wouldn't. So I'm hoping that'll give you an idea. Now, obviously, if it interests you, you will go and do more studying of it. I just wanted to give you an idea of why it's interesting. Now, I think if I did my research correctly, that, you know, in terms of in a court of law or something, they really don't pay a lot of attention to this. All right. But, you know, I think as a human being, one of the things that fascinated me, and I have to say this, is in the days when we used to go into banks and the tellers would, write things. And I was amazed how many tellers had very open, rounded writing. Did any of you notice that? Their writing was very open, and that made me smile. And I remember one day watching a teller write something, and I chuckled, and she said, "What's funny?" And I said, "No, I find it fascinating how many tellers have very open, easy to read writing. What you see is what you get. You're not hiding anything. You're very open people." Do you understand why that's important? All right. You don't want somebody who that you don't know a lot about, handling other people's money, right? You want somebody who isn't very good at poker, if you get my drift. All right. So Kimmy's saying, you don't know what sets you off. It could be food or environment. This time it could be tree nuts. Okay, so you've got various allergies. Have you had the test done? Because they can do the test to find that out, surely, Kimmy. It's really interesting with allergies, by the way. It's all, a lot of it has to do with all sorts of things. For example, I didn't realize it, but I was allergic to sawdust. And that's a little bit of a problem because I used to love to ride and I spent my life in the stables with sawdust. And do you understand? Because I wanted to ride, I overcame my allergies. I don't know if you know, Kimmy, but Benji has serious allergy problems and he rarely takes any medication. He literally will have black eyes and look like he's been hit by a truck before he takes any medication. So a lot of allergies, you will see me over the last few weeks, you will have noticed that I have a lot of problem with my eyes streaming and it looks like I'm crying when I'm broadcasting, which I'm not. I just am suffering from allergies. All right, so you have to go to a different town and the roads are bad, all right? All right, so Velda is saying that California has very high pollen count this year. Yes, I want to tell you, it was so bad here. I'm in southern British Columbia, Velda, and I want to tell you, it was so bad here. I literally stopped one day because I thought there was a fire in my back garden, and it was clouds of pollen being pulled off a tree, clouds of it. And I'm going, I've never seen that before. I have never seen pollen come off a tree in clouds before. So, and you can probably hear it in my voice as well. I don't know what medication he takes, probably the same as everybody else, Benadryl or something, I would think. Yes, Veldo, exactly. It looked exactly like smoke. That's what I thought it was. I thought, there was a tree on fire or something. And that's what made me stop and do a double check. And then I went, wow, that isn't smoke, that's pollen. Yikes, no wonder I'm struggling. Yes. Jody is saying, Kimmy, I hope that you can have those tests done. I've had 3 over the years, and it gave me a wealth of information to specifically tailor my diet with food allergies and environmental factors as well. Yes, we've got Lauren at the moment has found out she's got soy issues, right, Jody? And so it's really important to go and have those tests done, even if it's in another town. Can anybody take you there to have them done? I'm amazed that you haven't had those tests done because you've been struggling with allergies for as long as I've known you. Yeah, Do you know something? If mine gets really bad, they have to do that with me as well. Yeah. That I have to go on to nasal steroids. And an inhaler, because I start to get, in the same as you, Kimmy, I start to get asthmatic if I don't look after myself. Now, the other thing that you might want to try, because you live on your own, am I correct? I was just thinking, and it just came to me while I was talking to you, Kimmy. Have you thought about wearing have you thought about wearing a mask? A filter mask like you would do for painting or whatever, just so that you're not breathing in whatever it is environmentally. I don't mean the big one, not the respirator one, just the regular. Hang on a second. Yeah, I was thinking one of these, just and you might want to. You don't have a sleep apnea machine, right? Yeah, because I bet you if you wore one of these at night, it probably would help you. Well, that's good that your vacuum has a HEPA filter. It's amazing what they catch, the fine particle stuff. But I'm thinking, your bedroom, do you have carpet in your bedroom? Okay, so you do have a CPAP machine and it makes it worse. How often do you clean your CPAP machine? Oh, that's good that you got wood floors. That's really good. Yeah. So you clean yours twice a week, okay? And what do you use to clean it? Vinegar or you have celiac disease? Okay. All right. So just Kimmy, I would definitely go and have those tests done. I'm going to have to move on with the broadcast, but yeah, I would suggest that you might want to put straight vinegar into your machine, into your reservoir, just to make sure you've killed everything and through the hose, and then really rinse it very, very well. Okay. But definitely have those tests done, because what it's going to tell you is what's causing it. Whether it's dust, whether it's, it could be bed, how often do you wash your For example, do you have a duvet or do you have blankets? You know, those sort of things. I don't know, Jody, about you, but I have a duvet and I make sure that I put that through the wash at least once a season, sometimes twice. Because I just know how much dust is collecting on it. So what I would do is to be very aware, you know, of how much dust is in your bedroom, because you probably spend a lot of time in your bedroom. Am I correct in that one? So the other thing, Jody, all right, the other thing is, I know this sounds, I don't mean to pry, but I just want you to think about this. You know, have you got a lot of knickknacks in your bedroom? Have you got a lot of dust collectors? All right, because I have noticed that my bedroom is a lot less stuffy since I've cleared everything out of my bedroom, you know, all the knickknacks and the little things that used to collect a lot of dust that I wouldn't even see, stuffed toys and ornaments and stuff like that. So just be aware, the more that you can clean everything off and keep it clean. Yes, so that's what I'm saying. I think you spend a lot of time in your bedroom, which means you are building up a lot of dust, and it's, so very, very important to keep it very clean, almost, hygienically clean. You know what I mean? Like a hospital. I would be wiping down your surfaces with wet wipes, disinfectant wet wipes and stuff, rather than with a duster, because a duster just is going to circulate. I would not dust, I would wet wipe or damp wipe. Do you know what I mean? Because if you're dusting with a damp cloth, the dust doesn't get moved around. Yes, Jodie's also saying that. She's also saying we got rid of most of the knickknacks and it makes a big difference. I don't know what Poshmark is. Forgive me on that one. But I'm certain somebody will educate me. Yes, I actually want to tell you that I had 2 different air filters in my bedroom, and it amazed me how dirty they would get. So I agree with you, Val. They're a very, very good idea. I thought this was a lovely quote, and I hope that, yeah, you can probably pick one up secondhand. A lot of people get them and then just sell them. You can probably pick up a really good one secondhand if you look for it. Good works is giving to the poor and the helpless, but divine works is showing them their worth to the one who matters. How many of you know that there's a huge difference between patronizing somebody and actually helping them? And showing somebody that they have worth, I think, is one of the greatest gifts that you can give somebody. To be able to show them that that in your eyes they have value in whatever way possible, is a tremendous gift. And I'm certain that some of you will have come across that. Jane Goodall, I made this quote, and I thought this was interesting as well. She said, in terms should we think of these beings, non-human, yet possessing so many human-like characteristics? How should we treat them? Surely we should treat them with the same consideration and kindness as we show other humans. And as we recognize human rights, so too should we recognize the rights of the great apes. Yes. I think that's incredible, when we see how close to us the great ape is. And I'm inclined to agree with Jane Goodall. They deserve a great deal of our time and effort, because obviously we are part of that. People will walk in and out of your life, but the one whose footstep made a long and lasting impression is the one you should never allow to walk out. Who came into your life and made a lasting impression? Anybody? I think we've all got people in our lives that have made a lasting impression. And what I want you to know, that is a really important person, and you should be forever grateful that they came into your life, even if they didn't stay, because they came to teach you something, and hopefully you learned that lesson. A pure heart does not demean the spirit of an individual. It instead compels the individual to examine its spirit. What we've been saying, hi, Linda. Wow. Okay, so that's very, very kind of you. Both Valdo and Linda just said that I came into their lives and made a difference. Something, I'd like to say that you came into mine, and that obviously has made a difference. It's really funny when I talk about the DearMamaSal community, because I will always talk in terms of what we do, not what I do. And the fact that what makes the whole community so interesting is the fact that we have people who come in out of DearMamaSal. But hopefully we are solid enough and we are reliable enough that people know that they know where to find us if they need us. And that to me is a really important part of the work that we do. Did any of you have any learning this week where you could see the things coming into your life, were there one more time to try and teach you a lesson that you weren't getting? Thank you, Jody. Jody's saying I made a huge difference in her life. I do appreciate that. I need you to know that if I have made a difference in your life, it's because you've allowed me to. And I think it's, I sit here and I flap my lips every week. And I bring you hopefully some interesting subjects to talk about. But, it's all about, you wouldn't be here if you didn't want to change. That is the whole thing. You wouldn't be here every week if you didn't want to learn more. Linda, you've been here 6 years just about, I think. It's just like, you obviously continue to want to learn. And I think that's wonderful, which is why I hopefully keep bringing you stuff that I hope will interest you, like the graphology. And to me, this is, if you heard the train, please forgive it. It's really important to know that we come into each other's lives to teach ourselves, each other things, all right? Sometimes what we have is a mirror of who we are. Like, how many times have you heard me say, have you heard me try and protect Beth in some way? And the reason I do that is I can see so much of the stuff that I used to do that Beth is doing. Okay. So Linda's saying, yes, but I would only allow someone into my life if they make a difference to each other. And I am grateful. Yeah. Something, it's always a two-way trade. I'm not that good a person. really. I believe that we help one another. I believe every time we have somebody in here with an issue, for example, Kimmy with needing to get those tests done. This is like, if you suffered that much from allergies, for goodness sake, go and get the test done. Don't mess around anymore. This is like, why would you sit and be in that much discomfort? Just get off your and go and get the test done. Well, it seems like 6 years, Linda. I'm not sure how many it is. Well, you would probably know because you will remember the state you were in when we found you. Rain? And you know what I'm saying? I just know that it was a long time ago. You've grown a lot. And it's interesting, I noticed that, some people come in and they think, this is going to change overnight. My life is going to be different overnight. I just need this one bit of information. It'll all change. I'm hoping that you can all see that life continues to bring us these challenges every day. Every day we get to, get the next lesson, if you like. And that's beautiful. Linda saying, I'm more whole now than I have ever been. It was interesting, Linda. I had a meeting with my realtors this week, and, normally that would be very stressful for me. And something really interesting happened, which was my realtor's husband was busy giving me this huge bit of research about, well, this is what's happening in your market. And I just went, I need you to stop, please. And he went, what? And I said, I know you've done the research. I know you've spent hours on it, and I appreciate it. Just let me know, what's my house worth? What is my house worth? I really don't need all the comparisons. I don't need this, that, and the other. I don't need any of your justification. You guys are professional. You've been doing it for many, many years. Tell me, what is the right price? All right, so it takes time here at my clinic to get them to refer someone to a specialist, and they pump people full of medicine. Well, I think in most places, Kimmy, how long have I been trying to find out what's wrong with me? I'm pretty sure it's been at least 2 years that you know of, and I would say longer, and I'm still not sure that they found out what's wrong. So, it's like, right? So but do I keep going back and saying, okay, that's not working, what else? The sleep apnea was a good idea, but I'm still having this happen. Oh, and diabetes is a good idea. Yep. All right. So Linda's saying, my ability to say yes or no has come from a place of strength within myself. Yeah, I quite agree. It's amazing the difference, isn't it? Oh, and Jody's saying, my emotions don't scare me as much as they once did. Sal has taught me how to navigate through them in a non-destructive way that allows me to feel much more in control than spiraling downward. Something? That was really interesting, Jody, because the response I got from the one realtor when I said, hey, I just don't need all the lead into it. Just give me the bottom line. What's my house worth today? He said, oh, I didn't know you were an A-type personality. And I didn't run with it because I'm not. But, the funny thing is I am all different personalities depending on what I'm doing. I'm very aware of that, which is I am very A-type about finance. If that makes any sense. I'm pretty cut and dried. Give me the information. When I've got the right information, I make the decision and I move on. If I'm here doing Dear Mama Sal, I would like to think I listen a lot more, and I take in and I analyze a lot more. But It's like in different situations, different parts of my personality come out. And, you know, I originally thought that was pretty schizophrenic, but it isn't. It's pretty balanced, right? And what I found out is when I'm dealing with things like my property and stuff like that, I don't want your justification. You've been in the business for 30 years plus. You know what you're doing. That's why you're my realtor. Now do me a favor, just tell me what my house is worth. It'll save you a lot of time. I know you've done the research. Because you're professionals. Does that make sense? And, it was quite funny because he went, "Oh, thank you." I said, no, you don't have to prove to me that you know what you're doing. I trust that. Otherwise you wouldn't be my realtor. So it sort of, the other thing was, and I don't know if you can understand this, because this again is all about the personality of people, right? One of the things that they said to me was, when we get offers, would you like to sit with the other realtor and have the discussion as to why somebody made the bid the way they did or whatever? And I went, no. Linda's saying a new car soon, looking around, having a coffee, not sitting here. Yeah, that's right. It's amazing. If you stay standing, it's amazing how many extra steps you do. Anyway, so what I said, I don't know if any of you can relate to this. I don't really want to know why a client only offered me X, Y, and Z. I just like to know that they did. But they can tell my realtor. That's fine. That's fine. I just need to know, what did they offer? And, if my realtor gives me what I call the Reader's Digest version, they said, well, they offered you 20,000 below the asking price because that would make sense to me. I don't need a 20-minute conversation with the opposing realtor, or incoming realtor, if I can say it that way. Does that make sense? I just want to know, what's the offer? And do you think I should accept it? You see, I don't know if that tells you anything about my personality. I don't want all that stress. It's just like, just tell me what the offer is, and do you think I should accept it? Knowing that I still have that choice. Right? I'm asking for your opinion as a professional. I'm not saying that you have the right to take the offer. I am the one that decides yes or no. But it was really quite interesting. And I said, how much of this information can you send me by scanning or whatever? I don't need you running halfway across town every time to have a chat with me. Just let's do it the smart way. So I thought this might be amusing to some of you. I realized yesterday that my house is probably at a point now where I could do a tour of my house, but it wouldn't really be a tour of my house. It would be what's left of my house. How many of you would like me to do that? Some of you have been waiting 6 years for this. So if you're watching on the replay, make sure you leave a note below so that I know that people want to see it. But it is interesting where I'm going. At last, I have got it to the point. It's not perfect, but it's definitely, a great improvement on where it was. And, it probably, Kimmy's saying do a tour, right? So again, this is something that surprises people, that some of you have seen different parts of my house. And I know a lot of people are quite surprised that I live in a very almost monochrome existence. Do you know what I mean? I don't have huge amounts of color, but the one thing I do have, I bet you can see it from there. Hang on a second. Wait. Wait. I think I can show you. Okay. Can you see? Can you see my eagle? That was a really big surprise to me. I realized that for the first time in my life, every single painting in my house is my own, that I've done at one time or another. And it was interesting because the eagle was stored behind my couch. And my realtor has said to me, have you done any more big ones? I said, yeah. And, and without thinking, I went behind my couch and I pulled out my eagle. And my realtor's going, what is that doing behind the couch? And I said, well, I didn't think you'd like it. It's just like, really? You didn't know I had stairs, you see. And right, so what's that? You've seen part of my bedroom and my kitchen and the wall behind me, yes. Without the horse brushes. I'm so looking forward to being able to pull my horse brushes out again. So, yeah, and and that was really interesting. And my realtor said to me, that should be hanging in a gallery. And I'm going, really? So so the amazing thing was, here I am taking things off the walls because I didn't want to clutter them. And and then here she is pulling more paintings out and getting me to display them. And I'm going, okay, you guys know what you're doing. I'd always thought the less that I had showing, the better, because it doesn't distract people. But apparently I was wrong. You didn't see the painting. Okay, hang on a second. Let's do that again. Okay. Can you see my finger, Kimmy? Because the painting is right there. See it? So you got caught up looking at the... yeah, these two you've seen, and I think you've seen these that are beside me here. And then, of course, I've got that one on that wall there. And then everywhere else in the house. Hang on a second. I don't know what I did wrong there. Just hold on. All right. So it's been an interesting week for me, I must say. So how are we all doing? It is pretty squeaky clean, I must admit. It's surprising. And even my studio, I've tidied up. It's still a mess, but it's an organized mess now, a much more organized mess. And I just said I'm not cleaning it up. I still want to be able to paint every now and then, because I really don't do very much, but I do love it when I can. So to me, it's just like, it's really important. And, I need to be able to get to paint every now and then. By the way, for those of you who remember the painting of the umbrella, that did not work out very well, as you know, because the umbrella was one of those funny ones that folded a strange way. But what I did is I put it out in the rain for a month. Yeah, not so much. It went in the garbage this week. Yes, Jody. This is, one thing's for sure when you walk into this house. I know the realtor's going to say this is the house of an artist, and I know she's going to say, and every single picture you're going to see is done by the artist. But It is strange, isn't it, where I'm going? Yeah, I'll tidy up 99% of my house, but my studio, that's the last thing. You don't get that. I'll tidy it a bit, but you don't get that tidy. What I found was, Kimmy, that the paint, even though I had fabric paint holder on it, you know what I mean, special binder, it seemed to crawl a bit. I'm going to do some more tests because, like anything else in life, it was the first attempt. I'm now going to try doing smaller flowers and things to see how that works and get a better idea. But probably I will wait to do that. All right, so here's a nice quote. Every morning, I want to say, good morning, with all my blessings. No, it did not bleed into the fabric. No, sorry, into that. Every evening, I want to say to you, good night, with all my love. And how about this one? Charm's key ingredients is consideration for others. How many of you saw that vlog where I talked about being considerate? And the reason to be considerate of others is because you will find that it rubs off on you. I found that the more considerate I am of other people, the more considerate I am of myself. Do any of you find that? And I spent a lot of my life being ruler of the universe, and I gave that job up. But this really speaks to that. It says, everything you say and do is advertising who you are. Speak and act with kindness, consideration, compassion, and love. And I find that, I am working so hard to stay in a place of love. Do any of you understand? I'm working on a daily basis to keep the negativity out of my life. And to really work on what can I do, not what I can't do, to keep things in the positive as far as possible. And it really has made quite a difference to my being. I want you to know that. I find it fascinating, Jody, that you and Lauren and myself and a couple of others have all managed to make such dramatic changes in the way that we eat. And there is part of me that goes, wow, but I'm still retaining so much water. I mean, you can see it in my, it's like literally, it's, I'm amazed that I don't slop as I walk, because I'm literally holding so much water, and I'm taking diuretics. Maybe I should be taking two. But I'm going to go back to the doctor and go, okay, guy, help me here, because this is really important to me. I want to know, and I wondered, Jody, whether it was because of the cheese. And I've started to cut back on the amount of cheese that I eat every day, because I'm thinking maybe, there's so much sodium in cheese that's what's causing the water retention. So it's just like, wow, how do I do this in a healthy way? And it's a struggle. And you'll be pleased to know, Jody, that I think I put down 3 different vlogs yesterday when I was out charging up my car. And I thought, oh, Jody will be so proud of me. Now, Jody, I need you to know that they are there, and they will stay there until I edit them. My challenge is not to put them down. My challenge is to edit. Empathy is one of humankind's prized possessions. acts of consideration and kindness are inevitable when a person can mentally step into somebody else's shoes, even if it's just for a moment. Yeah, Jody's going, imagine how you'd be feeling if you were eating without being careful. You're doing a tremendous job. Well, I want to tell you something, Jody. I managed to get all the bits and pieces, and that's what one of the vlogs is about. Because, I bought the wrong strips for my machine, and so I went to go and make a plan on that one. But, I actually got to do my blood test yesterday. And again, it was straight after eating, it was 6.5. And I know it's different in the States. Can you tell me what that is in the States? You told me once before, but I can't remember. But, it's just like, it does appear that my day-to-day numbers are reading just fine. And I think I'm just about due now to do my second blood glucose tolerance, heavy hit thing. I know there's a good word for that, and I don't know what it is, where they load me up with sugar and see whether my body can cope with it. Okay, so 6.5 is 117. That nothing wrong with that, right? Dr. Jody. So I want to just go back. I just want to go back on where we started today about what does your handwriting tell people about you? And if you can see so quickly, Jody, were you surprised how quickly you could start reading people's character just by looking at their handwriting? And so what I want you to do, that's good to hear, Kimmy. Kimmy's saying she's doing great on her blood glucose and her blood pressure. Yeah, I want to tell you that my blood pressure is doing fine as well, as far as I know. And my resting heart rate, yeah, and yet, Valdo, they say that I've got diabetes. But this is the peculiar thing, right? I've only got diabetes when they hit me with all that sugar. So Jody will make sense of that for me, because it still doesn't make sense to me. So when I get hit with that much glucose, my body doesn't want to absorb it, right? So I don't know how you fix that. If anybody's got the answer for that one, let me know soon, because I'm going to have to go in for another one of those tests soon. And, obviously, I did something really strange this week, which is for the first time since December the 20th, when I got diagnosed. I actually had birthday cake this week, and it was so good. And I'm so sorry I didn't have my tester with me so I could see, exactly what it pushed me to. Yeah, it is a 2-hour test here. They first of all take your regular, fasting level, sugar level, and then they load you up with sugar, and 2 hours later they test it again. And that for me is a major problem, because I have to have the test taken out of my hand. I can't have it taken out of my elbows or inner elbow. Okay, so 120 to 140 after a meal. Well, mine was 117. So I'm really quite proud of what I've been able to do with the help of you guys. And Jody, I really do want you to know that you made so much sense to me in so many different levels with the information that you gave me and the suggestions you gave me. And I realize now that that was a vital part of the shift that I made. Yeah, Jody's saying here that much sugar load is too much for the body to handle for anyone. The fasting glucose tolerance test, yes, that's what it's called. I think the daily numbers are a very true indicator of how well I'm doing. Yes, but that doesn't necessarily affect my fasting glucose, right? That's what I'm trying to find out. The fact that I'm getting these numbers day to day does not necessarily affect my fasting glucose level after they hit me. You know, my body did, oh, wait a minute, maybe it does. And the A1C will be interesting. You know, in terms of how well I'm doing with what is running around my body. But I wish you could have seen me eating. I don't think that birthday cake, and by the way, it was white with icing in between, you know, cream icing in between. I don't think that touched sides. Do you know that feeling where you're going, it was almost like I had to eat it really quickly in case somebody found me eating it. You know, the little kid in me is going, let me eat this. And I hope nobody's watching because I really wanted that cake. And then I remembered what you said to me, Jody, which was, you know, this is not a sprint, it's a marathon. And, you know, Valdo, I wish you could have seen me for a 72-year-old adult. You know, I was acting like a child and a spoiled brat at that. But, you know, it was just like, yeah, I want, because I was asked, would you like birthday cake? And yeah, I would. So, and I think you all know that I actually work my numbers. This is the really peculiar thing. I work my numbers so I can have an ice cream every day. Now, I am pretty certain that there isn't a doctor alive that thinks that's a good idea. But my attitude is, if I can keep my numbers at this level and eat ice cream every day, what's the point? Right? You know what I mean? It's like, what do you want me to do? That's my reward for keeping my numbers the way that they are. And, you know, to me, that makes an awful lot of sense. But I am a bit of a rebel. Yes, so Jody, I understand that the fasting blood glucose measures the overall health of the cells, their ability to process sugar. My question is, if my numbers are this low day to day, am I improving that as well? Logically, I'm not sure whether, you know, 1 and 1 make 32. Do you know what I mean? If my day-to-day numbers are this good, are the chances that my ability to handle that low sugar load is going to be better? I guess that's what I'm asking. And I'm going to find out, aren't I? And I'm pretty sure that I should not be having birthday cake a couple of days before I go for that test. Yeah, it's just like, no, sir, not now. All right, everybody. So I hope that you have found a little bit of learning here, and also that you remember that somebody said that to me. Where did I see that recently? Somebody said, you know, what people tell you about themselves, you should listen to. So what I'm saying is, please listen to what people are telling you about themselves by the way that they write or sign their name or whatever. Okay, so Kimmy, you've got to say, a person told me to get rid of dairy, and that'll take a time to do that. Actually, I had that discussion with the dietitian, Kimmy, and I said that I need to know, this is what I'm doing about cutting down my carbs, but it does mean that I'm eating cheese, to balance out my carbs. Is that okay? And they said yes. Ah, but you can't eat much because of celiac. Okay. So actually, I was quite surprised that the dietitian thought that what Jody had taught me was pretty spot on. So, and what I found, Jody, is that what you have taught me has become a sort of lifestyle thing now. It's really weird. I found myself, and this is unbelievable for me, I found myself cooking, that's apple and potato sausage. Yeah, that blew my mind that one sausage was 240 calories. I mean, like, really? But you know what I found that I made to go with it? Butternut squash rotini, cut like pasta. And I'm going, when would I ever have bought that? And so what I realize is that really my whole eating regimen has changed. I found myself, for example, starting the day with, celery and cucumber. And, it's just like, all these little changes must make a difference. And, that's why I'm saying I just now need to get rid of the water, that I'm slushing around inside my body. And I'm drinking water and I'm visiting the washroom 10 times a day. So, I mean, but as fast as I do that, it seems to be coming back on. So I'm not quite sure what's holding it, something else. But the good news is I'm feeling good. And, one day at a time. And today is a good day. So everybody, look after yourselves, please. And I want you to have a look at the way people react to you. What is it that we are showing people? For example, I find that I have a voice tone change. Well, when I'm on the phone, I have a voice tone change. When people start to get up my nose, I go from being really polite and really nice to quite snippy. And I don't know if any of you relate to that. It's just like, or you put me on that ignore music. It's just like, really? You think I've got time for this? And it's quite funny. I'm noticing so much more about myself and I'm going, breathe. This is a test of your ability to not have things go at your pace. Can you do that, Sal? And I'm going, not very well, but I'm learning. And Jody, I know that you must spend an awful lot of time on that ignore music with all that you're doing. But I just wanted to compliment you. You took a huge risk in changing your insurance. And, that is one of the, that is the next video that I want to put down, edit, Jody, is one about daring to make a change. And, funny enough, now that I'm thinking about it, you really took a huge dare on to change your health insurance. And I'm so happy that it's brought you positive results, because then it made the risk worthwhile. And you must be feeling quite proud of yourself that you actually did all that was necessary to be done to create that. Well done. So everybody have a good time, and we'll catch some of you this evening. I know I knew what I was going to do this evening earlier today, but I can't for the life of me remember what it is to tell you. But I will remember it by this evening, that's for sure. All right, everybody, have a good time. And this is DearMamaSal saying thank you so much for being here. Thank you for caring and looking after one another. Jody, I'm so glad that the guidance about emotion helped. Yes, right. Get out of the emotion and just deal with what is. All right. And, the faster that we do that, the faster we get on with the real life, right? We have more time to be creative and all those things. By the way, Jody, you would have laughed at me. I was about to go for the 10-minute challenge yesterday. And I just stood at the top of the staircase. I was about to go down and I saw that Yvonne had dropped off 3 Amazon boxes. Given a choice between going for the 10-minute challenge walk or opening up 3 Amazon boxes, you know which one won out. But I do need to tell you that before I went to bed last night, Jody, I did enough arm rolls and walking around in circles to put on an extra 250 steps just on principle. All right, everybody, have a great day. This is DearMamaSal saying I'll see some of you this evening at 7 o'clock Pacific time. Thank you for learning a little bit about graphology. Bye-bye for now.